Thanks for clicking on the Wayne.com sports page. We had a conversation right before we got on that.
Love to know what that was about.
It's not internet appropriate even, which should tell you a whole lot about it. This is, though. Comets have 9 games left.
Yep.
7 of them are at home. Closing out this stretch of 3 weeks before the playoffs.
They get to sleep in their own bed every night.
After, 8 games on the road, a 16-day road swing. That counts the Evansville game on the back end. What have you seen specifically over that road trip that has you thinking positively about what could possibly happen in the playoffs for this team?
Nothing.
Really?
And I say that not to be slamming on the Komets, but to me, the regular season means nothing. You're going to have 11 guys coming back sometime. So 11 guys from what they're playing with now aren't going to be here. So what does it mean? And I know the ECHL just loves when I point this out, but the regular season means nothing because every team loads up at the end, and they haven't had those lineups all year. They're going to have to get rid of players who've played here most of the year because they're going to be bringing these guys in. So what does that mean?
Not a whole lot, apparently.
Exactly.
In your opinion.
It really doesn't.
I was going to say, what are we going to be talking about for the next 3 weeks? Because when the rosters flip for the playoffs,
right,
it's not going to be congruent with what we've seen over the last.
I know,
3
and
weeks.
isn't it sad? You're going to see guys like Leo Thomas, who's played great, and maybe Mason Batista, and Patrick McCadden, and Louis Belisle, and guys like that. Maybe even Randy Cure. They're not going to be around. And they've played their butts off.
Right.
And they have played with their hearts for this team. And they're not going to be here probably and possibly. It's really a hard situation.
So going forward, what do we know about the Komets? What do we think we know about the Komets? What don't we know about the Komets as we move towards the playoffs?
All right, we know Pat Nagel's their number 1 goalie, okay? And we know that he plays better behind a big defense, and they are about to get a lot bigger whenever everybody shows up or everybody comes off injury reserve, that kind of thing. They're going to be tougher. They've added Dan Barzak. They added today. They added Taylor. What's his name? Oh, it just went out of my head. Of course. Anyway, they added another big forward today who looked really light on his feet. He had some moves. He looks like he can play. They're going to have Garrett Thompson back, who's big. They're going to have Brock Montgomery back from his concussions, who's big. They're going to be big. Paul Crowder's never played with half of the guys that are coming back. And he's been playing big. They're going to have all kinds of options up front and on defense that they don't have right now.
So what do we think we know about the Komets? Do we think they're playing? We think their penalty kill, we think their power play is good going into the postseason?
Yeah, and we hope that they cut down on the penalties. The penalties, we've talked for months that staying out of the box is the key factor for this team. It really is, because when they're 5-on-5, they're great. Very few teams can seem to be able to compete with them for a whole game 5-on-5. And when they block shots on the penalty kill, that makes it even better. But it's hard right now when they are just exhausted. Guys are sitting in their stalls after the games on the week. After practice last week, they're sitting in their stalls like this. I want a nap. You'd have thought they just got done with a 7-game playoff series. That's what they look like. Instead of, hey, we got 3 weeks to go and we're going to have fun, They were just wiped. And I think there was 2 big factors that we haven't talked about. There was the overnight flight from Alaska, and there was losing an hour for daylight savings time. So you had a 5-hour difference, and you lost a night of sleep. Because how does Cody Saul at 6'5", 240 sit in a coach seat? And, how do any of those guys sit in a coach seat and try to sleep? Mm-hmm. And as you know, being a father,
yes,
as we alluded to earlier, you never get that caught up. You never get it back.
True.
You just kind of exist until you can normalize it a little bit. And I think that's where they're at right now. That's what they're going to use the next 3 weeks for, to normalize their routines, their sleep patterns, their eating patterns, all that. Well, that is the key point.
And it's kind of designed to do that when you take a look at 7 of the last 9 games
Yes.
are at home. So they're going to be very comfortable sleeping in their own beds, going to be able to do that before the postseason. We talked about what we know, what we think we know. What don't we know about the Komets at this point?
We don't know when the San Antonio guys are coming back because the AHL season goes a week longer than the ECHL season. Last year they came in, I think, Tuesday before playing on Friday. I think they had 1 day of practice, maybe 2, before the first playoff game. You don't know for sure that's going to happen now because maybe San Antonio wants to do that. They've been great about that. But you have to have healthy bodies in place to be able to play that final weekend, too. And so you don't know for sure that that's going to happen.
You said 11 guys? Is that what that
There's
means?
like
That's
11
what you
guys.
think there are
There's
11
like
guys.
8 guys in San Antonio, or 7 guys in San Antonio, Mike Embach in Chicago, and then there's 3 guys that are out right now with injuries. Garrett Mears is coming back Wednesday, So look at it that way.
You think they'll get all 11 of those guys
Yeah, I do.
back?
I asked Gary Graham today.
That's more than 50% of what is on their roster right now.
I asked him today, and you're only allowed a 23-man roster for the playoffs.
Well,
I asked him today, I says, you heard anything that any of these guys might not be coming back? No, he hasn't heard anything. Everything's – and from what I've talked to the guys during the year, they absolutely love playing here. I mean, they really do, because they get to be first-line power play or penalty kill. They get to play. They don't just –
get up and sit or something.
Right, they're not the 7th, 8th defenseman. I mean, they're not the 4th-line guys. They get to actually play a regular shift and actually play the shift.
It's funny because you mentioned the penalties, and the Evansville game was kind of – representative of that. They get 52 penalty minutes in that game, the most they've had in 3-4 years as a team. Was that reflective of just being tired, or was that reflective of maybe not being as disciplined as you would like going forward?
Oh, I think it was probably a little bit of everything. Mm-hmm. Having to wait there for an hour and 15 minutes before you
Ice
start.
Problems, yeah.
I mean, I asked them what they did in the locker room. Oh, we watched basketball games. I mean, it's like, what can you do? I mean, sit there and get grouchy. I mean, Evansville's been doing that a lot lately, that kind of stuff, and they're struggling, and they got nothing left to do. I mean,
right.
Tyson Fawcett, what are you doing? I mean, really, what was your purpose? That was at the end of the second period. He's like taking on 4 Komets. Like, what are you doing? Are you just trying to get the boot? Get a hot shower?
Well, I mean, they don't have a whole lot to play for.
No, they don't. And Vincent Dunn, I mean, okay, so you shoot it into the empty net after the timeout, and then so Nagel slashes you, slash him back, and Nagel says, so hey, it's your first goal ever, or what? And then he takes a swing. It's like, we're not dealing with rocket scientists there.
No, but what we are dealing with is a Komets team that's been pretty good in 1-goal games, 12, 6, and
Amazing.
8.
Yeah, a lot of 1-goal games lately, too.
Right. What do you chalk that up to? What do you think they can carry over from that into the postseason?
Oh, I think that'd be great, because, I mean, every game in the postseason's a 1-goal game or an empty net game, And they've had 3/4 of their games the last 2 months have been 1-goal games. I mean, that's good, because that way you're used to playing that mindset. You're used to getting back defensively. You're used to trying not to turn the puck over. You're used to valuing puck possession.
You mentioned in an article on Kyle Thomas the way he's played throughout this season. Kind of an undersung guy to a certain degree. 17 points in his last 17 games, though. What does he bring to this team, and what is kind of what turned or flipped the switch for him? Because we saw glimpses, I think, last year, and the players did too, of what he could possibly be at the end.
Well, I think Kyle spent the summer working on the things he needed to work on, and it made a huge difference because he got confidence from seeing that was actually paying off. And he wasn't just going to be a third-line guy. He could play on the second line and maybe even the first line in different situations. He's getting power play time. He's become a fantastic penalty killer. I mean, man alive, he blocks a lot of shots. All the things he worked on really paid off, and you could see him better able to utilize his speed because his skills had improved.
Where are the Komets at goalie-wise? Because Spencer Martin is up. I guess based on the road trip, I would have thought Nagel would have gotten a breather between Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
But
I guess you didn't have the bodies. So where are they, and where do you see that position going forward? I mean,
Pat likes it though.
He likes playing every single game.
Yeah, if he can, if he needs to, he likes it. I mean, to him, it's all. He's not a guy. He's 28. He doesn't get, oh crap, I'm playing tonight. It's like, okay, I'm playing tonight. I mean, he keeps it calm and steady. And to him, it's not a bad thing if he's playing every night. And I think Alex Vazzano is going to get a game sometime soon. Mm-hmm. But if Pat's playing well, and I think he's been the team's MVP, you just go with him, especially when there's so much turnover up front and on the defense.
Final question. Over these last 9 games, what are you most looking to see out of the Komets that could preview a long run in the postseason?
I want to see Mike Embach come back and get into a rhythm. He's in Chicago right now. His knee injury was a little bit more serious than they thought. Not real surgery required or anything like that, but he was out 2 to 4 weeks. which is not bad because you think about it. Mike played 2 extra months than everybody else because he went to Europe. And so he played 2 months before everybody else started training camp. So it's not bad to get him freshened up, you know. But I want to see him come back and get into a rhythm with his line mates and get some confidence going and just be Mike Embach. How's that?
That would be something I think Komets fans would certainly like to see as well. Wednesday is when this final stretch starts of these last 9 games.
Taylor Crunk is the guy that they signed today. He's a forward, 6'0", 210 pounds.
Boom, it all comes full circle right at the end. We got it to you.
Yeah.
Thanks for checking out the show here on Wayne.com.
And he'll play Wednesday, too.
Fully inclusive this week as they get ready to face Wheeling on Wednesday at the Coliseum. From Blake, I'm Glenn.
And we're going to go back to talk. Never mind. We're not going to tell you
we can't get on that.
Yeah,
we'll see you next week right here on Wayne.com.